All right, folks, if you are a regular watcher of this show, and if you were one of the people who invested in Transatlantic Real Estate or 420 Real Estate, you definitely want to pay attention. A couple of years ago, remember they advertised with us. They would advertise it with us in 2019. First, it was Transatlantic, and then 420 Real Estate. There were two separate cannabis projects. They were an advertiser. We didn't have any part of the business. We're not involved in the business. We simply did live reads for this particular company. Well, the SEC a couple of years ago actually charged them with fraud. And so the SEC, this is a lawsuit right here, the SEC hit them with, and this here is the press release that was sent out. SEC charges crowdfunding portal, issuer, and related individuals for fraudulent offerings. And so the SEC complaint, they targeted Robert Shoemake, lawyer Nicole Birch, and Willard Jackson. It says they conducted fraudulent and unregistered crowdfunding offerings through two cannabis and hemp companies, Transatlantic Real Estate LLC and 420 Real Estate LLC. It says the complaints allege that Shoemake and Birch raised $1,020,100 from retail investors through Transatlantic Real Estate, and Shoemake and Jackson raised $888,180 through 420 Real Estate. It says Shoemake, Birch, and Jackson allegedly diverted investor funds for personal use rather than using the funds for the purposes disclosed to investors. They also targeted the crowdfunding portal TruCrowd and its CEO Vincent Petrescu. And so that was the SEC action that was right there. So let me unpack for you how that even began to happen. So it was around January 2020 when I had reached out to our accounts payables. I said, who owes us money? Well, they owed us money for 4 months. And I said, well, we're not doing any more ads if you still owe us money. And so what then began to happen, I began to ask questions of Robert Shoemake as well as Willard Jackson. Again, there were two different entities, Transatlantic as well as 420. And so began to ask them a series of questions. I did not like the answers. I was getting a runaround. I was getting from Shoemake, oh, well, we can pay you with a new campaign for the old campaign. I was like, hell no, ain't gonna be no new campaigns when you still owe for the old campaign. And so this was going to this was January 2020, and it goes into February, it goes into March, and it goes into April. And so what then began to happen was, and so again, we're sitting here watching this whole thing play out, watching this and not getting answers. And so when I started getting the answers that I was getting, I did not like the answers that I was getting because, frankly, they were not making any sense to me. And so I then began to press them further. I began to ask more questions, to begin to demand more answers. And as that continued, well, it kept going and going. And then it just simply wasn't making any sense to me. And so I think we got down to, it probably was around May or so. Yeah, it was in May where, because I was getting text messages from Robert Shoemake, and again, wasn't making sense. I began to put pieces together. Now, here's the whole deal. When you let a journalist start operating as an investigative reporter, then you're gonna have a problem. And so I would never forget, it was like a Thursday, and I'm sitting here looking at these text messages and these emails, and I'm like, this stuff is not making any sense. And so what then was a Friday night, they had a company called Banji, B-A-N-G-I. They were sort of this parent company. And on the board of Banji was Matthew Knowles, who was, of course, Matthew Knowles, Beyonce's father. Hill Harper, Ray J was supposedly an advisor. And so I called them. It was like midnight. It's like they had no idea what the hell was going on. Talked to Hill, talked to Ray J. Matthew called me the next day. Matthew had invested $100,000 into the company, they couldn't account for the funds. And so that weekend, I'm all of a sudden doing research. So then I find out that Nicole Birch, she owned the company and then takes it over. So I track her down and then begin to call her on the phone. So I'm now sensing, you know what? This stinks. But I gotta be able to put stuff together. So I then begin to send the emails, go to my iPad. And so this is what you see. So I then begin to put together, and I begin to email all these different people and who are on here, and I began to hit them. So as you see right here, you see, answers. You see Matthew Knowles. You see Hill Harper response. You see me telling Robert Shoemake his answer was 100% bullshit. I said, you text me about the shield. You lean on the alpha shield. Now your hands off. This is foul. And I remember all of this. And so I'm hitting all of them. Now I'm asking questions. Now you see right here, me breaking down. So you see him saying, oh, the people who invest in Transatlantic, they're going to have their money converted to Bungie stock. And then you see this, and then you see him saying Nicole Birch is the owner and CEO who controls Bungie. She disbanded on the board, blah, 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 blah. And so then you see me ask these questions. Who owns Bungie? Who controls Bungie? Is Nicole Birch the CEO? Robert, what is your former role with the company? Is Neil Parson the chairman and CEO? I began asking about these board members. And then he had this other crowdfund, Green Growth. I said, is Nikita McAllister COO of Green Growth? Is she your sister and senior pastor of a church in Rhode Island? I see the Ebony Foundation cancel a cannabis conference for April 27. How they related to Bungie. I start going through all of this and begin to put all of these things together. And then you see me right here and I say, Robert and Willard, I am pissed, not because you owe me $60,000, because you use my platform and viewers to raise money for this crowdfund and clearly aren't answering questions of the folks who have invested. Now I have more questions. I said I went to marijuanastock.org and scrolled to the bottom and saw all of the folks who have been trying to get questions and answered for months about their investment. I just talked to Ray J. He said that you showed him a long list of individuals who gave $200 and up to invest. These are folks who are viewers, black folks, hardworking black folks. My retired parents invested $200. Ever since we stopped doing ads for January for non-payment, you've been trying to get me to do a new crowdfunding campaign. And so I'm hitting, again, all these questions. Well, let me tell you what happened. And so then what then happens is, so Willard Jackson was one of the owners of Ebony Magazine. Well, then the people who owed their debt took over. So Blueprint Capital, Jacob Waltauer, they then began to start looking into the transactions. So basically what was happening is they were seeing that money from this crowdfund was being used to pay Ebony bills. Yeah, so I then began to communicate with Jacob. Jacob and his team alerted the SEC. So the SEC launched an investigation. I actually testified before them. My email chain basically led to the SEC investigation, which is why I put the entire email chain together. I was not trusting anything I was hearing from Robert Shoemake, Nicole Birch, or Willard Jackson. If y'all have Robert and Willard's photos, put them up. And so I've never met Nicole Birch, but I've talked to her numerous times on the phone. This is the video. Come on, guys. This here's a video of Robert Shoemake, who's out of Detroit and has been involved in all kinds of other different stuff as well. And I've had other people who have emailed us wanting information on the investment. I have emailed Robert, Willard, and Nicole demanding that they give these people answers to exactly what is what is going on. And so what you have found is that the SEC then came back and hit Willard Jackson, Nicole Birch, and Shoemake with deals where they have to pay up. I'm going to pull up in a second. Now, Shoemake is still fighting it. Nicole Birch and Willard Jackson, don't go there yet. Nicole Birch and Willard Jackson agreed to pay a significant amount of money. Now, one of our viewers, who I've been corresponding with over the last couple of years about this, has launched a class action lawsuit. They join us right now. And so Jeff Carter is the founder and CEO of Accounts, Receivables, and Revenue Cycle Consulting, LLC. He joins us out of California with his attorney, Tony Bell. Jeff, glad to have you and Tony here. And the thing here is this constant run around from all of these, from Robert Shoemake, from Willard, from Nicole. And the reality is the SEC says they were engaged in fraudulent activity.
It was crazy. First of all, thanks for doing this, because I know a lot of us that were looking at this as a legitimate way to get to a space where we could start generating that generational wealth were more than disappointed. And the fact that it was done on a reputable show like yours just made it even worse, because he knew that there were so many of us that depend on you for our news to get our stories out. And he comes in and tries to use you as some type of patsy to steal our money. When I first started sniffing around, things didn't make sense. I made a phone call to the phone number that they provided, and I asked the young lady on the phone, I said, now that the maturity date has passed, are they going to be offered an IPO? Was it initial public offering? She didn't know what an IPO was. That was the first red flag. She then tried to tell me that the maturity date was 18 months, and I corrected her and said, no, according to the paperwork you provided, it's only 12. She said, well, we're going to have somebody give you a call. I waited a day, waited 2 days, nothing happens. So I started sending emails, and that's when I first reached out to you, Roland, about asking, had you heard of anybody else having these issues? And you let me know that there were a couple people, and things just weren't feeling right. And at the time, with so many things that were going on, I didn't have a lot of time to dedicate to it. I was in law schools, running a company, taking care of the family and things like that. But it always stayed in my mind, and we started doing more and more research. Took the information you and I discussed. Well, you've seen what the SEC has done with it.
Right, and I want to show that right now. So this is January 3rd, 2022. The SEC obtained a final judgment against Nicole Birch, against CEO Vincent Petrescu, and they hit them the judgment that civil penalties of $200,000, $9,700 and $97,500 against Birch, Petrescu, and TruCrowd, disgorgement including pre-judgment interest of $600,000 against Birch and $129,000 against TruCrowd. Birch is barred to be an officer and a director on a company. They are also agreed Birch was permanently suspended from appearing and practicing before the SEC as an attorney. She prohibited from representing clients in SEC matters, including investigations, litigation, or examinations. Petrescu was suspended from appearing and practicing before the SEC as an accountant, which includes not participating in financial reporting and audits of public companies. Now, they says the SEC's litigation against Shoemake, Jackson, and 420 Real Estate continues. But that was also a settlement there. I'm going to pull up in a second. So Willard Jackson agreed to a settlement, but Robert Shoemake is still fighting. Jeff, go ahead.
So once we found that out, I wanted to take some steps to make the people who invested their hard-earned money into this scheme whole again. One of the things that my mother told me when I was young, and I always prayed that it wasn't true, that you won't always necessarily have to worry about what the palm-colored man will do to you. You might have to worry about what the man who looks like you will do. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Reese said it. I believe it. Couldn't find an attorney that was willing to take this on, because I don't think they really took the time to investigate like, we had to find out what was going on, because there are so many different layers and so many companies and shell companies connected to this that had they taken the time, it would have been okay. Well, I already mentioned that I was in law school, and I had we weren't in the same class, but I knew who he was, a brilliant law student who was later then brought on to the faculty for that school and has now opened up his own firm. And when I approached him, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to get turned down. But a part of me knew that I was led to him for a reason. He was also a pastor. He may also still be a pastor. Tony, correct me if I'm wrong. And the name of his firm is to me is Providence, because it's exactly what we're trying to do. We are trying to take this bad situation and make those who took advantage of us pay for what they did. I don't know the ins and outs of how Tony's going to do it. I just know that when he agreed to take the case, it was a weight off my shoulder, and I was thinking, okay, this is great. That's when I then got a hold of you, Roland, so we could announce it once we got everything set up. So, Tony, if you want to,
Right, I'm going to go Tony in a second and see. So here's the thing that pissed me off. What pissed me off was, and I said to Robert, I said to Willard, I said to Nicole, I said, how dare y'all do this to black people? I said, how dare black people, and it's in all the emails, and I made it clear, I'm going to get all of you. I said, we're going to expose all of you. That's why I began to put the email chain together. I've had people in the last couple of years email me saying, hey, what happened to those guys? What's going on? And I literally have said, no, put the emails, no, this is their email, this is their phone number, call them. And so it was this game where, let's do Transatlantic Real Estate, let's do 420 Real Estate, let's do Green Growth, had the same CEO. It was all BS. Now Shoemake says that, I wasn't involved as an officer or anything along those lines. I was just doing marketing. 420 was Willard Jackson, Nicole Birch, Transatlantic was her company. I said, yeah, but you're the one who was tied to all of this as well. And that was just 2 days ago texting him because another woman has been demanding answers. And the thing here, Tony, is that all this sort of back and forth, the SEC lays it out. The SEC lays out the fraud that was involved. And the other reason why I wanted to create the paper trail was because I knew if the SEC hit them with judgments, then they would be collecting the money and there would be a way for folks to be able to get their money back.
Well, Roland, I spoke with the SEC about this in particular, and it's great the groundwork that they placed. They laid a strong foundation of informing the public of exactly what these guys were doing, and they even got some orders. According to the SEC, they haven't seen very much of that money paid to them, and they also made it clear that the money that is coming in from the disgorgements is not necessarily going to be seen by the victims. That money is going to go to pay some fines and things at the SEC. And then they said if there's anything that is left over, then at that point, they're going to see about how to get money to the people. And so this is what is so offensive to me. Because here we have a couple thousand families who have worked so hard to try to overcome financial barriers and to try to create a legacy for their families in the society that is so repressive of black and brown families. And so these people have worked hard. They get together some money, maybe a few $100s, and then they decide, well, we are going to invest just a little bit so that we can hopefully create a better future for our families.
Yeah, because here was their whole deal. We're going to use this money to buy land, cannabis projects, and then eventually take these companies public. Folks will be able to own stock. It was all this sort of back and forth. And then again, and when the lies, and it was just lie, and like the tipping point literally was this here. The tipping point was when Robert Shoemake tried to get me to start doing a third crowd fund to pay what he owed from the second crowd fund. And I was like, you are out of your damn mind. I could show you all the text messages where I cussed his ass out. But I was like, ain't no way in the hell that's gonna happen. And then and then that's when the whole deal was, there's this other company, Green Growth, and he sends me to get on a call with the COO. I find out that's his sister. It was all kind of BS. And that's when I said, I'm gonna bust all y'all asses.
Thank you. Thank you. And because it's not fair to the thousands of families, they were trying to just do something good, and these guys are the ones who victimize them even more when they should have been the ones who are supporting. So that's exactly why we're starting this class action. One, because a lot of the disgorgements from the SEC, if they even receive that money, is not going to be seen by these families. And it's only fair that these families get recompensed for the damages that they've experienced.
So if there's somebody out there who's watching and listening and they were part of this, how do they want to be a part of this class action lawsuit? What must they do?
Yes, we encourage you to call 888-680-8322, or they can go to www.420relawsuit.com. Again, it's 888-680-8322 or www.420relawsuit.com.
And just so folks, again, if you go to my iPad, this is the SEC lawsuit. It says Shoemake and Birch offered and sold securities of Transatlantic Real Estate from September 2018 through May 2019. Shoemake and Willard Jackson offered and sold securities of 420 Real Estate from May 2019 through June 2020. It says right here, Shoemake was the driving force behind both offerings, but he kept his participation secret in order to hide a past criminal conviction arising from a mortgage fraud scheme. Shoemake convinced Birch to act as the chief executive officer and sole member of Transatlantic Real Estate, and convinced Jackson to act in the same roles for 420. And so it lays out here how they did it. And it says they diverted hundreds of thousands of dollars from the offerings proceeds for their personal benefit. None of the money raised in either offering was used to acquire or improve cannabis real estate. None of the investors in either crowdfunding offering has received any return on their investment, and few investors have recovered any of the funds that they invested. And so I made it clear. And so for folks to understand, again, this was all a build-up. It was going for the SEC, testifying, putting all this stuff together. But I knew when they kept lying to me in early 2021, and when I began to put that email chain together, and what was fascinating, all these fools were actually answering. And so I started linking the paymaster. I literally went through all of the board members and started adding their emails. And I'm telling you, if y'all see this here, it was hilarious as I was just going through it. And I'm talking about, this was an entire weekend. They pissed me off so much. I was hitting them the entire weekend, and even to the point of who the paymaster was, and then he responded. Then there was a guy who Shoemake claimed did an audit of their books, and the guy was like, no, I wouldn't even accept their packages. This thing went on and on and on, just laid it out like you might see in here, folks. You might see in here where, go to my iPad, where I sat here and said, Parsons, I searched Parsons' name on Twitter, came across one of your shareholders. She goes by the name of Magika Alpha. She's been asking a number of questions, is documented from October 19th, 2019, listing Nicole Birch as the CEO of Banji. I said, then that was an investor call on February 6, 2020. Parsons mentioned a $15 million offering needs to be approved by the SEC. Listed all this sort of stuff. Well, we now know Nicole Birch, who I talked to directly, who was like, Roland, these people are going to get their money back. Nicole, you lied. Nicole Birch, you're a liar. Now here's the deal. I can't show her face because I've never met her. And so I don't know if the photo that we have of Nicole Birch, B-I-R-C-H, is correct, but I made it perfectly clear I was going to out her trifling ass. Show the video again of Robert Shoemake. And yes, Robert Shoemake is an alpha. He can absolutely go to hell too. And so I said, I'm going to call him out as well and put him out there. Show the photo of Willard Jackson. Pull up Willard's photo. Willard, of course, ran Ebony Magazine. We dealt with Willard again. And like I said, Matthew Knowles was on the board. They took $100,000 of Matthew Knowles' money, and Matthew Knowles never got that money back. And so this here is Willard Jackson. And so I've made it clear to all of them that I was going to do this story. And they were like, oh, they've been trying. Oh, man, don't go there yet. No, the reality is y'all screwed black people. And again, Birch and Willard Jackson have settled. Shoemake is still fighting, claims that all charges were dismissed. Jeff, you say that's not true?
No, it's not true. As a matter of fact, the SEC has plans on the PACER website, which is a public access to court electronic records. They show it, and Roland, if you have it, I I sent it to you in a text, that they have future dates set up for appearances. They already have a date scheduled for the trial in 2025. So if he thinks that this is somehow dismissed, he must be smoking what he was supposed to be growing. And he not only messed with your company, what was it, the 420 Real Estate lady in Colorado.
Yeah. So that was the same name of the company. And matter of fact, she had sent me an email, and I was like,
Yep.
You need to hit them folks.
Yep. And what was it? He sent you a response to my request for money that, have him call this number. Well, I responded that the number didn't work. Then he says, provide his banking information and I'll give him a refund. I'm thinking, you must really be smoking that really good kush, because if you think I'm giving you my bank account information, you're the damn fool. You done already ripped me off, several thousand other brothers and sisters off who are just trying to, get into a space where we can generate some generational wealth. And you want me to do this? No. Enough was enough. Tony was good enough to come in and say, I want to come on board. I think this is a good cause. I think we can help a whole lot of people and make these people actually pay. Now, Shoemake also has another lawsuit out there. The viewers may have seen that flag he was flying a few moments ago, something about a church. He's been sued by the city of Detroit. They locked his church. His sacraments are psychedelic mushrooms.
He's now calling himself a shamu.
Yeah. He's supposedly a shaman now, and his name is Jaffa, Samuel Jaffa, or something like that. Look, I don't know what type of child.
Yeah, Shaman Bobby Shoe. Yeah, okay. And he's actually following me on Instagram. You're not gonna get a follow back.
He needs to go back. We need to go back to old school. He needed ass whooped. I mean, with a racetrack, with an ironing cord, something, because this boy is just completely out of pocket. And I do believe that the way Tony's going to be taking this, that there will be some recompense for people who were actually harmed. This won't be one of those things where, you sign up for it and you're forgotten. That's not going to happen. We've been tracking this thing since, like Roland said, 2019. We're not going to stop until this comes to a resolution that everybody can live with.
All right, Tony, again, if folks want to be a part of the class action lawsuit, what do they call?
888-680-8322. So 888-680-8322.
All right, gentlemen, we appreciate it. And keep us abreast of the class action lawsuit.
Thank you so much, Roland.
Appreciate it.
Before I go to Mustafa and Randy, go to my iPad. This here, y'all, this is the SEC obtaining a final judgment against Willard Jackson and 420 Real Estate. You see here, it says you said they filed this against Shoemake and Jackson. It alleged that they raised $888,180 from retail investors through 420 Real Estate. Shoemake, with assistance from Jackson, hid his involvement in the offering. They accused them of diverting investor funds. Now, without admitting or denying the allegation of the complaint, Jackson and 420 Real Estate consented to the entry of final judgments, permanently enjoining them from violating the registration provisions. Jackson agreed to a civil penalty of $360,000, disgorgement, including prejudgment interest of $306,913, and $477,000 against 420 Real Estate, as well as them. So they obtained, it says the SEC previously obtained final judgments against defendants TruCrowd, Vincent Petrescu, and Nicole Birch. The SEC litigation continues against Robert Shoemake. See, this is, and again, just so y'all know, and I made it clear to them, I was gonna show y'all, okay? This is Willard Jackson. I know Willard from Houston. He was with the company when they ran Ebony Magazine, and Willard needs to do right by black people because they screwed over black people when it came to this money. Show Robert Shoemake. Robert I told you directly, even as of 2 days ago, y'all need to do right by black people and stop playing games with black people. And y'all need to sit here and pay them the money that y'all actually, how y'all abuse black people. And that's what really pisses me the most off here, Mustafa. These were black people who they were targeting, and these are black people who did it, and shame on them.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I mean, we know how difficult it is in our communities to be able to build wealth, build generational wealth, to have our own, defrauding folks inside of our community is just unacceptable. And, I hope that the full letter of the law plays out. Well, I hope that everybody who invested gets their money back. And I hope that this also doesn't put a bad taste in people's mouth about making investments. We have to do our due diligence to the best of our ability when researching companies or, future opportunities. But, we just also got to do a better job of loving each other. We should never, ever, do anything to hurt black people. We know all the hurdles that already exist. So, let's just continue to do what we can to make sure that those who love our community, that we lift them up, and for those who don't, that we hold them accountable.
Randy, I sat here and I talked to Nicole Birch numerous times, and she kept saying how, she's going to make sure people get their money back or whatever. And she kept putting the blame on him. I'm like, yeah, but your name on all these documents. Your name is on here. And the SEC says that you use money for personal gain. So my whole deal is I don't want to hear shit from Nicole Birch, from Robert Shoemake, from Willa Jackson. You screw black people, you should be paying them back. And what you did is you leave a sour taste because, it's already hard. We talk about it's hard trusting black folks and doing business with the black folks. And again, for us, when advertisers come to us, people who have products and things along those lines, you want to be able to trust that. We don't have any control over any product. So even if somebody takes an ad out, look, there's a company I bought, it's not black owned, but I bought some shoes from. I love the shoes. Look, I've been waiting for 3 pairs since October. They've damn near gone belly up. It's out of Canada. I've been emailing some other people who've done stories on them. And so unfortunately, these things happen. But again, what pisses me off with Nicole Birch, Robert Shoemake, and Willa Jackson, they did it to black people.
Right. Well, I first have to say, there's a revered Negro proverb that says, you don't mess with the wrong one. And they messed with the wrong one, Roland, when they dealt with you and tried to get over you. So I'm very thankful that you are, watching this and bringing it to light because I'm with you. I'm absolutely disgusted at anybody who would take advantage of black people, particularly as we try to build generational wealth and take risk that we're oftentimes not comfortable with taking. We already, live in a situation where we don't trust many around us. We really need to trust our own. So I am glad it sounds like they're going to get their due, that due justice is going to come through. And I really appreciate that you cared enough to bring this to light to everybody. And you cared enough to keep going on and pursuing what was happening. So, bravo to that. We're gonna call you Roland Matlock.
Oh, I was. Let me tell. I'm telling you, when Robert kept lying and they kept lying, I was like, hold up. I'm like, I'm telling you, I'll never forget. It was like a Thursday and Friday night, and I was like, you know what? Y'all really pissing me off, and I'm tired of this lying. And so I grabbed my laptop. And I started, and I'm telling you, when they talk about go down a rabbit hole, I went down a rabbit hole, and I was pulling everybody up. And I started adding folks to the emails, and I knew as I was doing it, and I said it. I said, you know what? I think this is fraud. And I said, and the only way to deal with fraud is I gotta create a paper trail. And so that's why I started. So that whole email chain, and I'm telling you, in fact, one of my lawyers, when we testified for the SEC, we were preparing, he said, he used to work for the SEC. He said, shit, I wish you were one of my investigators. He said, when I saw that email chain, he was like, damn, you went after everybody. Because I wanted everybody on record. And the crazy thing is, they were all talking. So the SEC was able to use their actual words against them to get this judgment. So, yeah, and I ain't done. I'm gonna keep pressing, and I'm telling you right now, Don't let me cross any of these people publicly. I'm just letting y'all know right now, if y'all don't like curse words, go ahead and keep moving, because I'm going to cuss them smooth the hell out, all three of them. All three. I'm just letting them know, right? If they see me, just go to the other side of the room, cross the street, but don't even come say hi, because I'm telling you, it ain't going to go well.
Yeah, do us a favor and film it.
I don't know if we can film that thing, but they gonna get lit, and I'm just not playing this game with them. And like I say, and Willard's like, well, I ain't know that was Rob. Now, damn all that. I saw. I pulled the document of the paymaster and how funds were going in and out of the account. I pulled those documents. They had the wrong one. You can't lie to me. You can't lie to me. I don't want to hear it. So they busted. And so what we're going to do is we're going to actually create a graphic, and we'll do that. So we'll remind folks if they want to participate in the class action lawsuit, what phone number to call.